know I've been around and doing it, but now it's my time to shine and start proving it. I'm losing it, I'm moving it. The city is where I'm made, Bostonian flow, I kick it back there. Yeah, I got game, God in a fan way. We the city of the champs, every sport we play. Spit wetter than the harbor, yeah, I'm flowing like the Charles. I be speeding on this beat, call it turnpike miles. Yeah, it's Buku signing on, John to the Hancock, and I'm always key, I'm ready to unlock. I be doing big things, don't even have a deal, yeah, I battle through these.
Welcome back, everyone, to the newest edition of Once a Week. I'm Billy Janlutis, and today we've got an incredible special guest for you guys. She has established herself in numerous areas, including the business world as an entrepreneur, where she is helping and coaching people in their own businesses. On top of that, she has owned multiple businesses for herself that have grossed over 6 to 8 figures. And also, she's extremely knowledgeable in the spiritual and manifestation aspect as well, where she has been able to help people overcome their past traumas. And on top of all of that, she has been able to grace the stage for a TEDx talk as well with an incredible message. And that was in the past. And since she has evolved into so much more for herself, it is incredible. Guys, when I talk with Audrey Wong right here, our conversations go so deep. But guys, I give you Audrey Wong. Audrey, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Billy, for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah, no, I mean, as I just said, when you and I have gotten together in the past to talk over Zoom, we're in different areas, but our conversations go so deep and they go over so many different areas. But you have been able to help people drastically in so many great areas. So today, I wanted to give our guests something incredible by bringing you on. And as I mentioned in the intro, this evolving aspect, you and I have talked about that before. You've been able to evolve yourself over the last couple of years or so into something new for yourself. How do you continue to do that?
Um, well, evolution has always been my theme, I would say. As a child, I like to connect dots about human nature, and I was discovered in a playground to be a model and a television actress. And I think being in the TV world so young, you just watch people and how they act, and you get exposed to different personalities and teamwork, right?
Yeah.
And I always love to explore human nature through that lens, and that always stuck with me. My parents separated when I was 16, and I had to leave the acting world and
Mm,
the art world. I actually also had a scholarship at the Met, so I was always really introspective. Like
yeah.
I, everything was through art, and I would just explore the world through my inner lens and just go deep inside and create art and in any way possible.
Yeah.
So but when my parents separated, I had to put all that aside and put myself through college. I also had a scholarship and I became a computer science major, and that enhanced my ability to analyze things.
Mm,
And I studied computer science and psychology,
nice.
and that launched into a management consulting career where I was really just in my element, where you're helping teams launch different solutions for businesses, right? And in order to create efficient solutions, you have to really understand human nature, business in general, and just adapt and learn. And I was really young and put into very, I would say, leadership positions early. So I think I've always tried to push the envelope in what I am able to do and what I'm able to help my businesses do, the clients I worked with. So that was always a theme in mine. I was diagnosed with CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, in my 20s, and that was due to emotional abuse I experienced as a child. And I think I always knew that I had to heal myself. So that's why I studied psychology. So I always worked on self improvement so that I could be the best version of myself as a consultant.
Mm,
And then in 2000, I decided I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I worked 5 years while being in a management consulting positions, uh, multiple positions. And then I was launching the business on the side. So, for every evening, I would be doing the business stuff, holidays, weekends. So, and that also creates a need to express yourself differently and evolve, because there are different versions of you that you have to be when you're an entrepreneur. It's different, right?
yeah.
And that made me a better management consultant. So I was able to quit the management consulting world completely in 2005 and focus on my businesses. And I always worked on my healing of myself. So I found that being an entrepreneur is very challenging, right? Because you have to be a leader, and you do things that are really uncertain, because there's no paycheck. You have to really just try to forge new territory of opportunities.
Yeah.
So I had to really heal my fears, my self-sabotage through my own healing work. So I studied shamanism, and I studied therapy even more, and I studied a lot of healing modalities, Reiki, reconnective healing, meditative practices. I grew up also with ESP. That's another thing. My grandma had ESP, and I used to have dreams that predict the future, but I also muted that. I muted that talent because it's not really, how do you talk about that with people? But that was always there. So I've always had this connection to multidimensionality, right? Um, I, I, I always leaned on it, but I never really leaned into it until I would say 2005. It was when I had a big, they call it the dark night of the soul, where I had a emotional awakening, and I was in a really dark place where I was betrayed by someone I cared about, and I fell asleep. And at and 2 o'clock at night, my TV turned on, and it was on a channel I don't watch, Nickelodeon, and it was the Cosby Show episode I was on when I was 11. Um, and I heard it was just the beginning of the Cosby Show, and the theme song came on, and I'm like, "Is this the Cosby Show? Is it?" And I had a feeling it was my episode, that it was. And then I heard "Remember Who You Are," and then I realized, oh wow, I really have to explore this thing that just happened. There's more to life than this, like materialism, the 3D reality where it's just, what we see, hear, and smell and
Yeah.
taste. There's more in the world. So I just started to explore all the different healing modalities I told you about, and
Yeah.
I started to learn how to heal myself through breathing in my body. And I found that through all my research, through, I combined spirituality and psychology, and I found that our trapped trauma is in our body.
Mm.
And a lot of times when you're uh, thinking about things a lot and obsessing and stressed, it's because you're in a hyper vigilant state, uh, fearing that you'll re-experience ex- things that remind you of your trapped trauma, your past. So you're constantly looking for danger and creating stories in your head about that danger. So
Yeah.
I learned that if you just breathe in your body and focus instead on the emotions and the stories, you can focus on the pain in your body and breathe, and you can start remembering your past.
Yeah.
And I also found that you have to go deeper. And I created this thing called root trauma release, which is also now root karma release, where using my computer science modality, the the symptoms we have when we're just stressed out, thinking about things constantly, not being able to sleep, having insomnia, things like that, that's a symptom of the trapped trauma from your early childhood. And later on, I found out through even your past lives, right? So I found that by the age of 5, your personality is established. And after 5, we recreate through our own self-sabotage and just our trapped trauma. Just we make choices for ourselves. And like, if we're giving signals from our higher consciousness that there's something that isn't right for us, we may still explore it because it reminds us of our childhood. It's like, oh, that person who reminds me of someone who abused me seems safe to me because I'm used to that. I'm going to just go for that relationship, right?
Yeah.
So I found that if you heal your memories from childhood, if you breathe in your body and don't focus on the memories that came later in life, like high school or whatever, you go deeper, go to like age 4 or 5, you'll realize, oh, okay, I this person or these situations resonated with me because they reminded me of what I grew up with.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I found out, so once I did that, I felt so much more alive in my body, present, not always worried about the future, being able to be super present in my body and just let the flow come in and use my intuition more easily. Because also, when you have all this trapped trauma, it's energy, and your soul isn't able to communicate with you very clearly. So as you clear all that that trauma and that energy and those stories, your soul is able to get in your body, and you're able to stay present,
Yeah.
and you're able to really listen to your inner guidance more clearly and trust it.
Yeah.
Another aspect I wanted to share about is the drama triangle. That was something that I was taught in a therapy session with my therapist in my 20s. The drama triangle is, imagine a triangle, and you have 3 vortices. You have the rescuer, the victim, and the persecutor. And this drama triangle, if you explore it, it's amazing because everyone engages in it. you know, I'm a victim or I'm going to rescue people. And that's another addiction. It's an addiction to not feel the trauma in your body, right? So I found that if you disengage from the drama triangle, and whenever you're led to like try to rescue someone else from their own, soul stuff,
Yeah.
you go in your body, you're actually going to feel your own trapped trauma and heal it. And you'll be able to have space for people to live their own life and learn their own lessons. And also you'll be able to not live in the dramatic stories of being a victim or being a persecutor.
Yeah.
And you're just and able to just understand things at a more soul perspective.
That's awesome.
As I evolved, I found that I started to read books on Brian Weiss, where he is a hypnotherapist who talked about past lives.
Okay.
And I actually went to a therapist who did that for 3 hours. I found 4 lives. So I said, what if I used the trauma, through trauma release to see if I get past life? And oh my gosh, it was so quick. And I found that through the trauma, the emotions is they're so charged. You can actually clear a lot of past lives very quickly.
Okay.
And what I found at a soul level is that we line up things at a soul level to learn. So the we sign contracts with people, souls, to help us experience patterns of abuse, power, and through all those patterns, the ultimate goal is to find your self-worth again, to find your center, without creating more karma, right? So if you were abused growing up, eventually you'll have to understand that, okay, everyone's soul is beautiful. They just may be using their soul experience to do some things to learn their lessons.
Gotcha.
And it may be painful to you, and it may be evil even in the definition, but you learn something from those lessons, and you could get into a place of just love and understand that everyone is a child of God,
Yeah.
and you just basically are able to forgive, and just heal deeply at the soul level and understand things at a just more beautiful, neutral perspective, and then evolve your own consciousness. And I found that as we all do that, we actually feed into the collective consciousness's
Yep.
evolution.
Yeah.
So that's basically what I did for myself. And because of my I did create businesses that were really successful, I started to attract people that wanted me to be their business coach.
Mm.
And I found, okay, well, sure. I always like to help people. That was always my thing.
Yeah.
And I found that, wow, a lot of people have similar issues. I can help them with this root trauma and root karma release modalities that I created. So I started to help them heal their own stuff. And I found that they were able to more easily manifest as well, following their own soul guidance. Because I found that you can't give your subjective advice to other people because they have their own blocks to that. So things that are easy for me may not be easy for other people,
True.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
So what I found is like, okay, let me help you clear your own blocks to that, and then also you will find your own solution that matches your soul. Of course, I'll give you some guidance, because like on a business level, there are certain things that you could recommend or repetitive tools, but at the same time, really it's up to you as the entrepreneur and the soul to figure out what works for you. I'm also able to help people figure out what is truly a soul desire versus a ego-based desire, which is based in fear.
Yeah.
Because a lot of our desires are to get approval from other people, and that's a trauma trigger. It's because you don't love yourself, so you're trying to get validation from other people. And often, if that's usually your intention, it's hard to get on a soul level, and if you do get it, you'll lose it quickly.
Gotcha.
So what I found is to help people heal so that they can truly align what they truly want at a soul level.
Yeah.
So that's how the evolution and how I continue to push the envelope. And then the pandemic happened, and that really increased my desire, and also just the ability to help people on a coaching level. So
Nice.
I've been creating meditations that I put on Insight Timer so that I can give access to this type of self-healing modality to more people who may not have access to it for whatever reason. So I really just wanted to help people to be empowered to heal themselves so that they could be the best they could be.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Everything you just went over is so incredible. And with the trauma aspect, I want to make sure the guests understand this. Audrey mentioned it like numerous times, but self popped up a lot. And
Yeah.
with just what you went over, and a lot of people think they have to go do or talk to someone or be with someone or do something to heal their trauma. But until you start to dive inwardly and self do it, I mean, you're the one, whether it's meditation, whether it's however someone heals themselves, however it may be, it takes that self look inside. And you going over your entire story did that throughout your entire life, up to the point where this pandemic, you had to look back at yourself in a business perspective, as you just said, and you looked at like, hey, you know what? I can start coaching people this way. So it over the course of everything you just went over, it popped up numerous times. You took that self inward look to help you get to the next level. And a lot of people look like, all right, what do I have to do next? What do I have to do next? And that's an ego perspective, as you just went over, right? And so if they're looking at an ego perspective, they miss out on the soul desire, which is I have to look inwardly to be able to take that next step forward. Do you agree with
Yes.
that?
Yes. Self is really key because you have to date yourself and understand yourself before you can actually expand and relate to others in a conscious way, right? Because if you don't heal your own stuff and fill your own cup with your self-love and
Yeah.
self-worth,
Yeah.
you don't really engage in the fullest way and the most, I would say, selfless way,
Yeah.
actually. So in order to, it's weird to be selfless, you actually have to be self-serving
I get
and
that.
heal yourself,
Yeah.
right? And I would like to add, yes, the coaching I do usually, the more difficult cases come to me more often because I get a lot of really deep uh, trauma from childhood cases. So those people need some help because it's scary for them. So when you're doing your own work, you're going to see the memories as if you were that age. So if you were abused at age like 2 or 1 even, it's really hard to do it yourself sometimes. So those are the clients that actually need more guidance. But a lot of the meditations I provide, and I am working on a book, you actually can heal your own stuff if you're able to stay in your body. So the thing I wanted to share is that this modality, my clients don't always, my whole key is to not make people dependent on me, because I actually had worked with healers that were trying to make me dependent on them.
Okay.
And because I was codependent from my own CPTSD, I let them.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I was able to listen to myself and say, okay, this is not healthy. And I evolved from codependency to more self affirmations and affirming and self worth. So I want to help because I went down that path. I never want to be that type of coach.
Yeah.
So, and that's also as a consultant, I did that too. Like if I did a good job, if a business didn't need me anymore, that was a success, right?
Yeah.
So the coaching I give is to give you tools actually, so
Yep.
that I teach you the meditation so you can learn how to do it yourselves. And basically most of my clients are able to do that on their own. Like I said, more of the difficult cases like incest and molestation, those are the more difficult ones. They usually need some help. I just hold space and help them feel safe as they do the work and feel their body and remember the memories. And that's why the past life stuff really helps with those cases, because a lot of these types of things were lined up really before we were born,
Yeah.
to experience such horrific
Yeah.
abuse. And on a soul level, it's like love, like the souls love each other, but they're like, okay, we're going to play this part of this abuser. And that's when the past life really comes into play. But yes, to understand yourself so that you can just be able to be the parent that you didn't have, if you need that,
Gotcha.
then you'll be able to really provide that for other people.
Yeah, yeah, it's incredible. No, I completely agree with that, especially on the coaching aspect too. Like, I want people to be able to come to you with these coaching questions or these
Oh, God.
coaching clientele for that matter, because how you approach people with coaching is the same way I approach my clients with coaching, where I'm trying to get you to a point where you don't need me. Here's the toolbox. Let's teach you how to use the tools. I'm out. And so it's like you want people to grow into who they're meant to be, meaning all the steps they need to take so they continue to pursue wherever their life takes them. That's the
And
joy.
that's why we resonate so well and got along so well in our talks, because we just have that same mission, I would say, to help
Exactly.
empower, enable others.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
going over your entire story again, 2 points again stuck out with me. One is the dark night of the soul. And that's
Yes.
something I knew about, but more recently I dove deep into to understand this entire concept. And I think people hearing this will definitely grow just out of learning this knowledge. The dark night of the soul is when we've all had one, or we will all have one, where,
Yes.
right, exactly, where you go through something. I don't know what it could be. It could be a trauma, it could be something significant, but it's something that truly is your dark night. You're coming out of a crucible, for that matter. You're coming out of a dark moment where yes, it hurts, but you come out of that pain so much stronger, realizing so much more got revealed to you where you understand your own strength. You understand the next stage, the next level you're supposed to go to. So with Audrey going over Dark Night of the Soul, guys, if you're going through something now, or you're going through the toughest time in your life right now, I can truthfully say it will end when you can, again, do as Audrey just said, you dive into the self, you realize, all right, what is this trying to teach me? And that kind of
Mhm.
comes to the next point I wanted to make, where the dark night of the soul, the trauma, whatever it is, it's a lesson in itself, right? Everything we go through in life, it could be categorized into numerous things, but one of them is a lesson. And we go through these moments, we go through those struggles. That person didn't say hi to us, that person didn't do this, because it's a lesson for us to learn something new, to come out of it, to get stronger. Do you agree with
Mhm.
that, Audrey?
Yes. I had, I would say, two dark nights of the soul that I can remember when I was 16 and my parents, separated.
Yep.
And at that time, I think I told you I was a child actor and I also had a scholarship at the Met at age 8.
Yep.
And I was, really loving that expansion. I lived in New York City and my parents decided to move to New Jersey, which I love New Jersey, but it's hard when you go from a school that you grew up with to a new school.
Yeah.
And I actually went to two school systems, and in those schools they already had friend circles that existed, and I was the new kid, and they were small schools and very already kind of cliques were formed,
Yeah.
and I was bullied a lot.
Mm.
And I felt that people were criticizing me because I was on the Cosby Show a couple times when I was in the schools, and people would make fun of me, and I didn't want to be made fun of, so I actually didn't want to do acting anymore. I didn't want to do anything that made me stand out. I
Gotcha.
wanted to conform and fit in, so I started to play smaller and smaller and
Wow.
smaller, and I just wanted to just fit in and not be me, really,
Yeah.
right? So at 16, I think when my parents separated, I had to find out who I am again, because I actually muted everything about myself so I could wear the same clothes that my friends wore, fit in,
Yeah.
just be popular, try to be popular.
Yeah.
Um,
Gotcha.
I don't think I ever succeeded, but I didn't make any enemies. I just fit in,
Yeah.
but I just fit in and just look as I try to wear my popular clothes, whatever. But then I had to find who I was. So I had to get jobs and figure out who I was beyond what I was to other people. Right.
Yeah.
So I learned how, I bussed tables. I learned to get jobs, and then I worked as a cashier. So I learned how to, hustle, I would say. Right. And
Exactly.
then computer science was something that was really an accident. My roommate from college was a year above me and she studied computer science. So that was another way that I could find who I am, through my mind. And I was like just really good at computer science. Like it must be a soul thing because I just got things. And I
Yeah.
remember there was a weed out class called, I forgot the class, but it was about trees. And all these kids were like computer people since they were 11 and they were coding programs, and I was kind of new to it, but I was
Yeah.
good in math. I felt a little insecure and scared to be in computer science classes, but no one understood. The professor asked a question, no one knew what the answer was, and I looked, it was like this whole big lecture hall and no one knew, and it was so obvious to me, so I just like tentatively raised my hand shaking,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I answered the question, and the professor just looked at me like, yeah,
Yeah.
and that's when I built my confidence. I learned to speak up, and I learned it was okay to be different. It was okay to have answers. It was okay to
Yeah.
shine, even. So I started to shine in a different way, not through acting or art, but through my mind, you
Yeah.
know. And
Exactly.
and then and then I did that in my business career. But then I think the dark night of the soul happens when your soul's like, okay, you learned this lesson. It's time to pivot
Yep.
and learn something new, right? So I was in this like really awesome career. I was making a lot of money. I'm just like, living my best life in that way.
Yep.
And then, but I forgot my spiritual side.
Mm.
So then the at 32, the second dark night of the soul was the one I told you about.
Yep.
That kicked me into spirituality. So it was awful. Those both the dark nights, I felt like my life was going to end. I was just so desperate, and it was just awful. And I'm 40. I'm going to be 48 in April. So I'm glad to say that's over. You
Yeah.
know, and I would say that if you're able to listen to your intuition and plug in, you get less of those. I think I get now post-it notes instead of the big like dark night of the soul steel beam. So I
Yeah.
think the dark nights of the soul happen when you're not listening to, because I think if you look back, you could kind of see when your soul and God was trying to give you like hints, like you should pivot, pivot, you know. That's what
True, right?
happens.
That's very true. I completely agree with everything you just said. Especially, I love the terminology you use to describe your when you were back in school. And
Yeah.
you just conform to the way other kids wanted to do, right? So conform to it, and then what clicked you out of it is, you know, renewing your mind. You're like, hey, act on this. And that
Yeah.
brings me like that's a scripture in itself, but there's so much
Yes,
power
yes.
behind that, right?
Yes.
And I agree with that so much, and I think you're 100% right. And I want everyone listening right now to get this key point. Um, when you're going through something, as Audrey just described, and you're not listening to what God, the universe, whatever terminology you want to use, is
Mhm,
trying to
mhm.
tell you, your intuition, we can get so caught up in the way the world is moving and everything that we're doing in life, everything we're trying to be in life. But if we're not listening, those dark nights, I love you get hit over the head, and you could get a little post-it note, you get over the head. But if you're not listening, you will get over the head because you have a purpose here in the world. You have passions here in the world. You're trying to pursue something here in the world, something that you may not even understand yet, but your soul is guiding you to it. And if you aren't listening to it, it's like if you're pursuing your passion, it's going to pull you towards it. If you're
Mhm.
not pursuing your passion, you're going to get pushed towards it. And I think that's where the dark night comes into play, where you're getting pushed to do what you need to do because you have a purpose. If you're not pursuing that purpose, you know, it's time to step up, but I completely agree with everything Audrey just said, where I really had my own realization moment months ago, and where it's like, I could be pursuing things on a different level, and yeah, I went through my own little moments of pain, dark patches, or whatever, over the past couple months, and it's just like, okay, then it's like the entire veil got opened up, and it's like, Bill, you are not even playing at the level you thought you were playing at, and now it's time to go higher and go higher. And then just so much joy started to come into life because
Oh,
you're
it's
moving
beautiful.
in tune with what you're supposed to be moving in. And guys, whoever's listening, if you can get in tune, build your awareness, open up to what God's trying to tell you, open up to what the universe is trying to guide you to. Believe me, like goodness is coming, and that's something I've experienced. Audrey's experienced. There's so much truth behind it, and I love
Yeah.
it.
That's beautiful. Thank you
Yeah,
for sharing your journey too. It's important to understand that we are humans and we are here to experience all of life. And that includes some of this dark night of the soul stuff, and we learn so much about humanity and ourselves through these moments.
Mhm.
And, you're right. Like you don't realize how far you can push yourself until you get there. Right.
Yeah,
And you don't realize what you let go didn't serve you until it's gone you
yeah,
know I look at myself from those days, and if I could just give her a hug, you'd be okay. Those beliefs don't serve you anymore.
yeah,
You know, but you
exactly.
don't realize how limiting they are until they're gone, and how
Oh,
light you feel and how expansive you feel. Right?
exactly, and that's a whole message in itself, right there. The limitations, the false beliefs we have, they're things that we were told that it's like, and that's why we feel pain because we get connected to this, we're attached to it. And
Yes.
when these beliefs go away, we're not attached to it. We're non-attached to how life's going about. That was last week's message on YouTube. It's that's when you get in the flow of life and everything. And
Yeah.
to build on the point you just made, one of the ideas we were talking about before, you kind of just said it. A lot of what we want in life isn't what we need in life. And
Yep.
you saying that you want to go back, you would give your old self a hug to. That's what they obviously what the old self would need because we were pursuing what we wanted, not what we needed. And now we get in
Exactly.
tune with what we need in life. It's like you feel just relaxed and no stress. You're just joyful, moving wherever life takes you, and it's a whole different
Exactly.
feeling.
Exactly. And I think you hit the nail on the head with attachment. That's actually where the dark night of the soul comes in, because you're attached. You're
Yep.
so attached to that story of where you want to head to.
Yep.
And your soul's like, no, or God, no.
Yeah.
And it's attachment, it leads to suffering. A lot of the teachers say that, and it's about letting go of attachment, period. Right. So
Exactly. I that's something that I've really come to learn on my own. And like I said, it was last week's message, and I love that message just because it was everything that I've learned put into one. But attachment, like we just I don't want to say naturally, but predominantly naturally fall into that if we don't, like as a kid. You don't know where you're going. You're going wherever your parents take you, wherever society, wherever school is putting you. We naturally create attachments. this is how a relationship is supposed to look. This is how a job is supposed to look. I'm supposed to go to college. And then you get someone like you, an entrepreneur, or me, like an entrepreneur, where it's just like we're going against the grain, but it feels so free. And it
Yeah.
feels so good because you're moving where you're supposed to be going. You're not attached to the way the society is trying to put you. You're not attached, believing and enjoying, like, hey, this is where it's going to go. And in doing that, attachments still come where, if I know I've done it. I want my business to look a certain way. I want to do this a certain way. I want to speak a certain way. And then all this other information came into play. And it's just like, all right, lead the way. I'm following your lead now.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes. I would say that you even, I could say the more I know, the less I realize I know, right?
Mhm.
So even though I think I have attachments nailed, like letting go, oh no, I have an attachment to that too. So yeah, it's I think our lives are about just, whittling away at all the attachments we may have,
Yeah, it's true. I think that's 100% true. And it's crazy because, you grow up as a kid and you don't realize this stuff. But if we did, where would we be? If
Right.
we didn't build those attachments that we now try to let go of and get to a non-attachment aspect. If we did that at a younger age, oh my goodness, I can only imagine what would be accomplished. But that's the way of life.
And I wouldn't take away any of those lessons,
Yeah,
as
exactly.
sometimes you still want to go, oh my gosh, what were you thinking? But I wouldn't
Yeah,
take those away because I wouldn't be who I am without those
100%.
moments. Right. But yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Of course,
Exactly. But
attachments to, what I wish I was back then, even, you have to let that go too. Right.
right.
So,
True though. No, I'm the same way. Looking back, I wish there were things I did differently, but now it's like I would, like you 100%, you're right. We wouldn't be who we are today if we didn't
right.
learn what we needed to learn through those lessons, painful, joyful, whatever they were,
Right.
meant to happen to get us to where we need to be today.
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
Incredible. But we can close out. I don't want to keep it too long, but Audrey, thank you so much for being here. Give two last questions. One, we just went over so much information. We went over the Dark Knight. We went over your own story. We went over lessons to learn. We went over trauma. What is one final piece of information that you want to leave with the guests that they can just move forward on the rest of the day, through the rest of the month, whatever it is? What's one important piece of information you want to leave behind?
I think understanding that your body is the gift that God gave you to explore this life, right? So to really breathe into your body, and it could be people call it meditation. I just call it breathing,
Yeah.
but it is a meditative practice where you breathe and just feel your body, and the pain in your body is where your memories are, and breathe into that. And that's the advice I would give, to get to know some of the memories that are in the way of your best self.
Mm,
And I would say learn to date your body, because you have to take care of this body, this one instrument that you came in with to explore this world. And I will say this, you get healthier, you feel lighter, you feel happier when you just breathe in your body. Do it for 5 to 10 minutes,
yeah.
just kind of breathe, feel it, and you'll start remembering things about yourself and stories you had, like, where did these stories come from? So when you're stressed, instead of just reacting and having a bad day, just
Yeah.
take a moment, pull the car over somewhere, breathe in your body, and you'll feel just lighter. Your energy will start shifting, because you're, instead of focusing on all the drama,
Yep.
you're focusing on releasing it from your body, getting calm, getting present. And you're always able to make a better solution in your life when you're more conscious and present. So
Definitely.
that's one.
Yeah.
Two, I would just say it's going to get better. Believe in yourself. If you're going through a hard time now, which a lot of people are, just trust that there is something bigger and greater than you. And if you lean into that, whoever, God, your soul, you will get the inner guidance to know what you have to do at every moment.
Yeah. Exactly.
So those are the two things I'd like to share.
That's awesome. Oh my goodness, those are incredible. I completely agree with both of those. Yeah, the breathing and the meditation aspect, I'm stepping more into that. So everyone watch
Mhm.
right now, I can completely agree with everything Audrey just said. Where when I'm breathing, meditating, just taking a moment, oh my
Mhm.
goodness, you truly feel the weight of the world come off your shoulders, and you just feel. You feel that sense of peace come into honestly like every aspect of you, and as Audrey said, more answers come from that when you can take a moment for yourself. And if that's something that sounds like something you guys need, I know the world has become a rat race, and especially during this pandemic, everyone is trying to get everything done. Then again, the pandemic also gave us so much time to try and build on ourselves. Hence why these messages are coming out. So take a moment for yourself. And I completely agree with Audrey. One last question, Audrey. Where can our viewers find more of you, whether it's to become one of your clients, whether it's to learn more about your meditations, whether it's on social media? Where can they find you?
Great. On Instagram, I tend to do a mini blog where I share insights about healing, and I post videos, the Audrey Wong on Instagram, and I have a website, Audrey C. Wong,
Okay.
and .com, and also on YouTube, the Audrey Wong. So you can find me on those 3 mediums. I also have a podcast that I created from the videos I create. So if you want to listen to me in the car, Audrey Wong, and you had to tune in. My podcast is called Tuning In because it's about tuning into your inner guidance. So those are the main ways you can find me. And I'll be launching more content. I've been busy with writing the book and healing with my clients, but I'm working on new content. So just stay tuned. But Instagram, I'm more, I would say, consistent. So you'll get little mini blogs and insights about healing, law of attraction, how to manifest on Instagram.
That's awesome. Phenomenal. Guys, I will put all those links after this video. You'll see them pop up in the credits. So Audrey, thank you for that. And Audrey, I just thank you so much for being here. I think this was an incredible message, and I can guarantee we'll be putting more out there.
Absolutely.
Audrey and I have this idea of putting a seminar together at some point down the line. So I want everyone to keep your eyes open for that, because this video is just a start of something. I guarantee you something bigger is coming.
Yes, yes. I'm excited to see what we co-create.
Right? Exactly. It's something good for people is coming out of this. I can guarantee.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But guys, I thank you so much for tuning in. Like always, hit that thumbs up button. Like this message on YouTube. Let's get that number up. Share this message to someone. If you were watching this message and somebody popped into your head at any moment of whatever message I or Audrey was saying, that's a message to you to share to them, because they need it just as much as you do in this moment. Share it to them. And please hit that subscribe button. Let's get that number up. Let's share this stuff to more people and get these incredible messages out there. Guys, I thank you for tuning in. And lastly, if you or anyone you know is in need of a life coach to help you with the attachment stuff, with the non-attachment stuff, with whatever might be going on in life, go to BillieGLifeCoaching.com and I'll be right there for you. Again, Audrey, thank you so much for being here. Awesome.
Thank you so much again. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Have a good one, guys.
You know I've been around and doing it, but now it's my time to shine and start proving